Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having a wonderful day. We've got some roster news for you today. Some North America, some potentially going back to South America, and then some international for you. Without any hesitation, let's jump over. First one for you is the main one, and the title of this video has to do with Firstkiller. Obviously, we've seen Firstkiller announcing that he is a free agent, unrestricted, meaning there's no buyout. His contract aligned very well for the FaZe Clan situation, which allows him to kind of go and see whatever he wants to do. This one's been rumored for quite a while and has been part of the conversations and talks for a bit now behind the scenes, but Shift deciding to report on it publicly for the first time, saying that Firstkiller looks to join GenG alongside Jack and Chronic, which provides some pretty interesting concepts. Obviously, Firstkiller as a player, very good and very talented individually, has a lot of upswing to his career still, but hasn't really emphasized the things that I think are really important. I think he has the ability to utilize his skills to set up his teammates and do a lot of good things, but now that they're bringing him to GenG and getting rid of LAWL, I have some concerns. My assumption is playstyle wise that Jack is going to have to take more of a back seat to enable. LAWL has always kind of been the unsung hero of the team. He is a very huge proponent as to why they are successful as they are, setting them up for pass plays, goals, you name it. He was always kind of the workhorse of the team and the unsung hero. In my opinion, a player like LAWL is someone that you want to build a team around, and I hope he's not screwing himself over. For those that are unfamiliar, LAWL did go on vacation and went back home for about a month. And while tryouts and everything else have been going on, he's really had his stock, I guess, devalued just because everybody else is trying to figure and solidify their rosters. So LAWL's having to play catch up. We saw him tweet a while back as we've talked about how his future was uncertain, and I assume that is still consistent. But this rumor has been going on for a while. To my knowledge, LAWL did find out back in actually spring before the major that he was going to be kicked. So for him to still compete in the way that he did, despite having the news, I think is pretty respectable. So hopefully LAWL finds a new team and all that kind of stuff. But what does that also mean for FaZe Clan? As of right now, they do have Mist and Sypical. We have heard literally nothing about Sypical, which is pretty common considering since the rolled his tirade that he basically announced his retirement early. But Sypical has never really ran his own social media either. He's never been one to tweet or any of that kind of stuff. So I assume we'll find out last minute from him if we do. So does FaZe rebuild around Mist and try to figure that out? We've seen Mist actually trying out for other rosters that we've seen publicly. He's actually playing with Complexity in the draw tournament that's going on like today/yesterday. So that'll be interesting to see how that one goes. We'll have to check out results to see how that one played out, as they've also been trying out with Tizai or however you say his name. Curious on what that'll look like. So if that's the case, that means FaZe is probably out unless they completely sign a brand new team. FaZe stocks are also extremely low based upon the recent news that's been going on with their CEO and everything else. So don't know how many people are going to be excited about going to FaZe. Does that mean Chrome is rebuilding a team of young superstars? Does that mean he's going to pick up the scraps? What does that mean for FaZe? But Firstkiller, if he's going to GenG, a chance to be really, really solid. Obviously, there's some negative connotations to Firstkiller with his dad and everything else. But as a player, as an individual, a lot of respect for Firstkiller. He's always been very nice, very respectful, and in the right environment, I think he can do well. Jack and Chronic definitely have that opportunity, but some proper guidance and some steering going to be needed. But I really hope Firstkiller takes his individual gameplay to another level by being unselfish, by setting up his teammates. And if he doesn't, he's going to have Jack to have to support him. So curious to see on how this team goes. Up next, some stuff in the South America region, which is also relevant to North America. GenG Esports officially announced that they are releasing Drafinho. They do put out and say, "Dear Drafinho, you've accompanied us for a long time and glorious path that today finds us among the best teams in the world. Your legacy is brilliant. Your future is huge." So they do obviously thank him for his efforts. Obviously, Drafinho has been doing a lot of really good things for the team, but a little bit of a spoiler here and the announcement. FURIA does officially announce that they say that great talents emerge once in a generation, and now they have 3 forged in the South American Rocket League, now representing the mantle of the Panther. Welcome to FURIA, Drafinho. So that does provide some interesting things. With Crew, that is an empty spot. We've been seeing conversations around like Swift and what's going to happen there. Curious to see on what Crew ends up doing. There's also been a lot of talks of FURIA, and I've been talking about this as well. A very good chance that they actually go back to South America. I don't know if they're going to bring him back to the United States with Drafinho and say, hey, Miami's the spot where their headquarters is, or if they're going to do something else. But for FURIA, I mean, Lost and Jan with Drafinho is a really solid team. I don't think Card gets enough love and respect. I think Card is still very talented. I would say 2 events ago is where he really showcased his efforts. I think Worlds, not this previous year, but the year before, he did a really good job of showcasing that he still has it. But I don't know if we're going to see another similar situation to like Shad, where Shad went back to the SAM region and we haven't really heard much since. Might be the same case for Card, but I am hoping not, because Card is still very talented. Maybe we see them link back up. Going to be interesting to see. South America has always been a region that comes down to the wire. Like, it feels like every regional 3 is make or break. Like, grand finals means you go to the major or you lose and you don't. So probably one of my favorite regions to watch, if I'm being honest, outside of MENA. And then last but not least, we got OCE, where Power has announced Banana Head. Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of conversation around those rosters over in OCE. Teams trying to build so they can beat Ground Zero and haven't been successful. So between the reshuffling of Kansas City Pioneers and Power, I'm not surprised by this one bit. They've been scrimming and practicing with each other since pretty much World Championship ended. So no surprise here for me. Good to see they're making it official, because that does allow these kids to now jump into the offseason, relax a little bit, and focus on the next efforts. Also, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the draw number 6, I think, number 6 or number 7 is going down this weekend. There's a couple different iterations of teams to pay attention to. We've been trying to figure out what's going on with COM now that the V1 situation potentially going to G2, and a couple of the other offers that they have on the board. But primarily, I do think we are seeing teams kind of just try things out, or trying to get any sort of merit. Nolly was kind of the big focus that I was talking about, with his lack of opportunity potentially because he tried doing tryouts a little bit too late after a month off. And you see him pairing with COM and Reddles, which Reddles has made it apparent that he and Magic Bear were looking for a duo. No longer the case potentially, as he is fielding others. It could also just be for fun. The nice thing about these tournaments like the draw is, because it is a 3v3 tournament against some good competition, at any point there is a chance to increase your own individual value. Like, if one of those players goes in and pops off, players that may not necessarily have been like, you know what, I want to try out with that person, may change their mind. Also, the fact that we are seeing Reddles and Magic Bear not play together means that that loyalty is now maybe split, as the organization isn't there for backing. So who knows what that'll look like. So again, I think it's difficult to pinpoint and say specifically where players are going when things can change at any given moment. You may see a team that has what feels like a pretty solid contract offer. Sometimes the contract doesn't work out, they pivot elsewhere, and then all of a sudden everything is open to conversation again. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that happening. Some rosters that we think, like, who's gunning for the Shopify Rebellion spot, who's going to get that, who's going to solidify that. Are we going to see a rebuild with a certain org or not? You know, and that applies to Europe as well. Like, none of us know what's happening with Joyo and Moist. Is that going to continue to stay that way, or what's going on? So I'll try to do my best to keep you guys up to date on all things Rocket League related. As always, if you guys enjoy the content, give it a like, subscribe, notifications, links to everything down below, and we'll see you in the next one.